whether you write a script and pick up a pen, or whether you grab a camera and your friends, just go out and do it. That's how you start. And it builds from there. You meet other people who are doing something and you get involved in their stuff, or they come in and help you do their stuff. But doing this film that you just saw the clips from, that was my start. So we finished it in 2008. The entire economy collapsed. My plan of doing it and juggling it kind of went out the wayside. But we were very fortunate because at the same time, this new interesting thing with the internet, Netflix and YouTube and all these iTunes and selling movies online, that was starting. And so a small company that's a lot bigger now that does that mainly, they put the films online. They were testing films. They saw ours and said, all right, we'll test your film. So they put us everywhere. A small film like ours back then, if we were just trying to get into theaters or DVD, never would have happened. So this company was really gracious enough to put us out. We got some traction. People liked the film. We ended up on PBS at one point. If you want to know where I got the inspiration for all the work that I do, I think all art, all people, whatever you do, whether you're a writer, filmmaker, you take it from yourself. You take your own experiences, whether it's direct or whether it's just a collaboration of all that stuff. I didn't write a theme song for this. There was a guy who did want to write a theme song for this, and it was really funny, but it wasn't supposed to be funny, so we didn't use it.
Well, it's more like a ballad.
A ballad?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, a ballad. Yeah. No, it was more like a weirdly heroic theme song that I thought was way too funny to use for a movie. HD, your phones. People are shooting stuff on their iPhones. If you have an iPhone, you can shoot and edit a film. There are major filmmakers that are doing that. And I know it sounds crazy because it's like, oh, I'm going to shoot a film on my phone. But if you have a story you really want to tell, you don't need 40 credit cards. You don't need to spend X amount of Z. If you just want to tell your story, and it's the first thing you're doing, and you just want to go out and play with your friends and make something, it has all the merit of this.
Would that be accepted for a film festival?
There's the big Tribeca Film Festival. I just read this. I don't know enough about it yet, but there's something now. It's like Twitter, but it's called Vine, and it's like 7-second videos that people do on their phone. It's like you can post little mini videos. And Tribeca this next year is going to be doing a competition for the best 7-second video. So will they be accepted to film festivals? Yeah, you can get it off your phone and put it on something else, and it can play for sure. The quality on the HD, this is so good that yeah, you could probably get away with it for sure. So like, don't be afraid to try anything, and it might even be the new thing. Like it was like a long time ago, 15 years or something, but it was the Blair Witch Project, and that film was just a bunch of kids running around with video camera, and they had to eventually transfer the video to film back then. But that was huge, and that made the film better. That it was so low budget because then everyone thought it was real. So your weaknesses, you can use them as your strengths. It depends on what kind of story you're telling and what you're trying to do with it. But if you just want to have something you really want to say, we live in a great age where you literally can pick up your phone. And then you forget even film festivals. If you want people to see it, you put it up online. People can click on YouTube and you'll have 1 million hits, maybe. You know, who knows? But like you can create your content and then you can put it out like that, no matter who you are, no matter where you are. If you're here, if you're in Nepal, as long as you have one of these or something, you can do it. Yeah, absolutely.
I just got in. I'm sorry I got here late.
Oh, you gotta go. You came in late? You gotta go. We had a timed meeting. I was teaching English overseas for a time, and when I was there, I decided when I came back, I was going to try and make a film. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. I didn't know about the credit cards and all that, but I knew that I wanted to. And I was trying to find a story. And people that knew some of the stuff that I'd done when I was a student were like, what do you mean you don't have a story? Like I couldn't, because to me, again, like I think there's some people have a hard time when they're taking something from themselves and putting it in their art. Sometimes they're embarrassed. Sometimes, for me, I just didn't think it was very interesting. I had the opposite of where sometimes it's because it's your own life, and you are always fascinated by somebody else's life. It doesn't matter if it's grand, if they're a musician or a politician or whoever, or if they've done something. Sometimes the simplest person's life that's not ours, we find that more interesting because we're all a little bit voyeuristic. So that I decided just using that story, and it kind of came together.
How long did it take you to write this script?
I think I wrote it in maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then worked on it for a year. Like on and off, sort of here and there. And then once, I think when you're making a film, particularly when you start casting it and putting it together, especially if it's a small film and you're working intimately with a small team, everybody starts adding. And if you've written it and you're directing it, then you have the luxury where you can go and you can tweak it as you're working. Like if one day on set, and also because we don't have the money, if we're getting kicked out of a location, if we can't do this one thing and I have to change it on the spot, I can do my rewrite that I'm forced to do. Yeah.
Do you use improvisation?
More in rehearsal, and I like to rehearse with the actors because, again, if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have time. So you don't have as much time to play around on set. Everyone has to kind of know what they're doing, but that's why we get everybody on the same page. I don't rehearse actors to block them because we don't know what we're shooting, and I don't rehearse actors to have them memorize their lines because that's their job. It's more about that's when they can improv. That's when we can talk through the script and figure stuff out and try stuff. And if it works, then we take it and we put it into the film. But when we're on set, unless it's brilliant, unless it's random, like we try to keep everything moving because we just don't have time to play around. So the first question he says, how do you find your cast? For me, the first film, I used Craigslist because, again, I didn't know what I was doing, and we didn't work with a casting director. We're actually, the first time we're working with a casting director is on the new film that we're making. A casting director is somebody that already has a database of actors or who their job is to audition and go through the headshots, post breakdowns. So what I did is I created a breakdown, which is I looked at the script, I took all the different characters, I did a little paragraph, you put their age, their ethnicity, a little something about them so that the actors who see them, when we posted them to Craigslist, there's also now, since I did this film 7 years ago, there's a bunch of other online sites that are free that you can post breakdowns to that actors can see. We put the breakdown up, people came in, we read a bunch of different actors, some I knew that I had already written stuff for, and some we brought in new. For the second film, we did something very similar. We used a little bit higher end, and then we did more. This time we had people, because we wanted to read as many people as possible, we had them send in submission tapes, again, because everyone has a little camera phone, or everybody has a little thing on their computer. They can record it, send us the audition, and then we just brought in the best from that. So just a lot of auditioning and finding good local talent. The second question was...
Who do you date?
I'm a big Final Cut Pro person. I started out, I was very fortunate that in my high school, I come from New Jersey, in North Bergen, they had this guy used to work at MTV in the 80s, and I started out doing it's the equivalent of 2 VCRs. So you have to just play something and then record it on this tape, and if you messed up, you'd have to start all over. But it made you really good, where now people have where that's linear editing, and they don't really do that anymore. But it's even when they used to for film, they used to be able to have to take the film strips and cut it the negative and tape it and then play it, and it would take forever. Now everything is digital. You can pull the clips, you can cut it up. It doesn't really matter. It's a lot easier. But starting with that and having that discipline was invaluable. When I say that I didn't know what I wanted to do, I think even as saying that, even as reflecting on it now, I'm sure that I did. But I think there was still something that didn't click, because I think at the time I was going through a lot of transition, and I was like, should I stay in film? I had finished school, I had a really difficult time when I was at school financially, and so I was working really hard to be there, but I never had the time or the money to devote myself to really, I was killing myself to be there, and I couldn't do the projects or have a film that I was really proud of, that I could leave and use as a calling card, or even just to say, look, I did this one time. So when I came to do this film, it was more like, let me go all in. I never went all in before. And in doing that and finding this story and picking this thing, I think that, yes, and I completely agree with your point, where I think when you have something you really want to say, a story, or just express yourself, whether you pick up a piece of clay, again, that's why I'm saying pick up a phone, get construction paper. If you have something that you need to express, you will find a way to tell that story, and you will find a way to get it out there.
It gives a certain degree of authenticity also, because it comes from inside. And that's exactly why I mentioned it. I didn't mean to disparage your...
No, not at all. No. Everyone can correct me. I don't know anything. But I will say this, that I think that everybody... The most unique thing about everybody here and everybody who's trying to do this is that everybody has their own voice. If you're being honest with your voice, there's no one that can tell a story like you can, like I can. And that's why every voice is important, because we need more perspectives. We don't just need 5 or 6 or 10 corporations or people telling the same stories. We need everybody's... And that's what's so great now with the world and the internet and technology. There's a lot of downsides to it, but everybody gets a chance to put their voice out there. Somebody really small who never... Even myself, my films... At the time that they were put out, I was very fortunate that all this stuff was happening, and I caught a lucky break. And that is, but I had to put the work out there. So everybody, create your work and find a way to get it out there, but be honest to your voice, because that's the only thing that is going to stand out. It's the only thing that's going to get you forward and also satisfy you at the end of the day. I like stories about people. A lot of the stuff I've written has come from my own experiences and being in New York. They're very New York stories, but whether I'm making something about outer space or whatever story, whatever somebody else's script that I like, or even something that I read or a film that I watch, I want that human connection. I want to see characters that I relate to, that I can understand. I want to see something that I care about. I wanted to see something. I think the great thing about film is you can get a message across, you can do all this great stuff, but for 2 hours, hour and a half, whatever it is, you pay a little bit of money, you sit in the dark with a bunch of other people, and you can forget about your own life or your own problems. You can be entertained, or you can learn about something that you never, or see somebody else's point of view about something that you never saw before. You can feel something. That to me is something that makes me feel. That's usually what I look for. People loved it. The critics really liked it. We won, I think, 12 Best Features, 5 Audience Awards. So people have really loved this last film a lot. And we've just released it, so now anyone who wants to see it can. Yeah, not theatrically. We put it out online. So people, if you can, it's VOD. You can watch it on your computer. You can watch it on your whatever platform you want. Sure. In the festivals, it was really well. The distributors loved the film, but the distributors, here's the one crux for anybody making, and it's changing because there's more avenues, like we put the film out ourselves. Big distributors, or even smaller distributors, what they really gravitate towards is, if you have somebody famous in the film, maybe that will help you, or a certain kind of niche, but they really like horror films. And the reason why they really like horror films is because the money is overseas. So a story like this, you notice people were talking a lot. If you try to sell this to many other countries where they don't speak the language and don't want to read the subtitles like we don't sometimes, the one thing that translates in every country is horror. They like monsters, they like blood, certain countries like guns. It sounds crazy, but it's like there are films that they put out in theaters, big films, the Pacific Rim one with all the fighting monsters. That didn't do so well here as much as they spent on it, but overseas made a ton. And so they'll make sequels because there's a market, giant like Korea, all these, it's the more that I've gotten involved in the industry, the more I've gone with like having to sell films and then just going out and being a kid who's like, I'm going to go make something. There's all this crazy business stuff, and you have to be informed, and the times are changing, and to see all your different avenues. At the end of the day, you still just want to tell a story you can tell. Because for me, if I can't do what I love to do, and I'm going to do something for somebody else, then I'll do something else.
And that highlights that kind of papers highlights the fact that we can go through life very smoothly and not know how important the things that we pass by are to us. And I think that's a filmmaker's, I think that you very well brought that out here, and that's nobody but a good filmmaker.
Thank you, man.
Can do that.
Thank you.
Or a good writer, is to really go back and bring everything into focus and make it more relevant because of what the actor is or actress is now facing.
Thank you, man.
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. I think that's when I was saying that like I'm attracted to scripts that make you feel something. I think you need to have, for anybody who's ever seen a film, we all have favorite films. We all have things we like. We all have things we watched, whether it's TV or whatever nowadays. There's so many different things that compete for our attention in our daily lives, books, all kinds of things. And most of it we sleepwalk through. We DVR, we Netflix, we do whatever. But the things that we will watch again and again and again, or that when we're going through something in our life, we use as comfort or to understand something, or even just something that like, today was terrible. I just need to, and you find that thing that like made you feel something that you connected to. That to me, that is the goal when I do my work. And I think that's the goal for anybody. If you just, because it's got to come from here. It's got to come from your guts. So like when I'm even telling you, there's all this business stuff about you need so and so actor, or you need to do such and such thing because they like that in the Philippines, and we need to sell to the Philippines, or in Russia. Well, yeah, there's all the look. You need to get the money, and so there's all these tricks you need to do. But at the end of the day, if you just do that and just get it done, then we're just sleepwalking. But if you start at the gut, you start at something you want to say, and find through all those tricks a way to do it, I think it has to start from the gut. Best advice is when I'm saying find your voice and find the thing that is most unique to you and put that in your work. Not just the stuff that you connect to, but the stuff you like. It's not about taste. It's literally like your world perspective, your experience. There's nobody that has that but you. And it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be autobiographical or that. Yeah. But it just means the way you see the world, the questions you have that you want answered, the things. If you put that in there, that energy, it's the one thing when everybody out there now has the ability to do this, when there's so much competition. That's what's going to make you stand out, because no matter how hard they try, no one will tell a story like you.
That's right. And I see that you're doing that. And it's causing you to grow at a very rapid pace.
Yeah. You know? Thank you, man. And then the thing is too, is once you find your voice, stretch that voice out. Yeah. It doesn't mean just say the same tune over and over. If you're a musician, if you're doing anything, once you've done something that you know you can do, that's a hobby. But once you've done something where every time you're a little bit scared, or if you go to the gym and work out, every time it's got to hurt a little because you're trying to grow. Whatever you're doing, you need to be in a little bit in that discomfort zone, and then master that, and then keep going.
Yeah.
So find your voice, hone your voice, and then stretch your voice.
Yeah.
I learned. I mean, how did I learn how to script format, right? So when I was in high school, I'd get in trouble a lot, and they couldn't give me any more detention, so they sent me to drama class because they just needed to put me somewhere. And so this great teacher, she must have saw something in me, and she basically, just to keep me busy, would give me plays and say, retype these plays. We can't use this copyrighted, so just alter it a little bit or just retype it. And so like by doing that, I learned the format and just practice. And then she's like, okay, now give me something original. And you're like, all right. And so I knew the format and we just play around, and I really enjoyed it, and I loved seeing the work come from start. So it was just a matter of like somebody making me literally retype plays. And I would say for anybody, if you don't know screenplay format or play format, go to a bookstore. You don't even have to buy the book. They let you sit in there, believe it or not. And they have free. There's a website called simplyscripts.com that has a bunch of free screenplays, television scripts. Read other people's writing. Read great books. Read great plays. See what makes them tick. See where they make you feel, and then read terrible scripts. See terrible movies and say, why does this why does this not connect to me? Why does this not? I actually learned. I think the best book I ever read on screenwriting was something called How Not to Write a Screenplay, and it just shows you sloppy errors and bad spelling and things that don't make sense, or just even I get sent a lot of scripts and you read a lot and there's a lot of bad scripts. So you learn sometimes just from what doesn't work as much as you do from what works.
The wrong person, and then halfway through or whatever, and then you freak out.
I've dealt with that, where one of the craziest people I've ever dealt with was on this last film, and again then some, and in a way that you get really good at being able to weed people out, but then some you never know, and again part of what I do as a director, as a filmmaker, is you're the one in charge, and you're constantly. It's still your responsibility. Yeah. Even if somebody's freaking out on set and being crazy, I have a job to do. I have 30 other people on set, and I have to finish this. So how do I, do I scream at this person? Do I fight this person? Do I go into their crazy world? Or do I get the job done? And with this person kept adding lines. This person wanted the lead role. This person was trying to sabotage the film. And knowing that I was the editor, after I realized what she was doing, I didn't yell at her. I didn't fight her and waste time anymore because we didn't have it to waste. I let her do whatever crazy thing she wanted to do. Made sure that we were getting what we needed, and then I cut all the bullshit out. And then at the end of the day, that's how you win. You don't need to get into crazy. If you are very unfortunate to have somebody, whether they're a crew member or an actor, that you realize, and it's too late to get rid of them, just do what you're supposed to do and get the job done. And that's your job as a leader. Your job as a director, as a filmmaker, is to communicate to the cast and crew. You have to tell them they're all working for you. They're all bringing and helping you shape your project, but they're working for you, with you, on the same thing. And your job is it's like being the manager of a store. You have to get everybody working on the same page, because maybe the wardrobe person wants this color and DP's doing this, and it's no. You're the one person that talks to everybody, and it may make your head want to explode, but that's your job as the leader, and it's just to answer questions. You need to know. You may not even know if it's the right answer, yes or no, but you have to make a decision. You can't that you never want to show them that, and you also can't externally freak out or be upset or angry or I've seen it, but the most I learned from working with cast and crew was working under other directors who were terrible. They treated people bad. They, sat by themselves. I got my PA's coffee because I was like, hey, I got there early. I was pouring a cup of coffee and I handed it to them. You treat people with respect. If it's a big project, will I have a chance to know everybody's first name? Probably not. But if somebody, is passing me by, can I say hello or thank you at the end of the day? Yeah. Some of them are just assholes, also too. And there's also people that And the sad part is the people that I've worked with that I've worked for that have been quite good at giving me a lesson of what not to do. And they definitely there's this entitlement, but they don't look happy. And for me, if this is something you really want to do, look, don't get me wrong. Being on a set and being in control, especially when you have no money. You're exhausted. You're dealing with and everybody's coming to you constantly. Do you want to snap? Is it always the best emotional state to be in? Not at all. But does that give me the right to chew out people? And more importantly, if you come at it already like that, you're gonna crack and you're gonna be awful. But if you come at it with all right, we're in this together, then those people will see that you're going through this and they're like, he's still there and he's still doing his job. Let me make it easier for him. Yeah, not let's go spit in this coffee, because we did that to people.
The third movie, what was the criteria that you gave casting directors to find who you was to have, that you want to have for your film?
Well, for this film, because we're trying to raise a little bit more money and crossover, we're looking for somebody just for the lead role and a couple of other small parts that have a little bit more name value, just so we can sell and raise the money. But after that, like, just local talent. And I try to diversify too. Like, I feel like, especially if you're going to tell a New York film, you need different ethnicities. You need different, I'm from Jersey City, which is like every color under the sun, so I grew up with all that too. So when I see a New York film that has New York in the title, and it's a bunch of Anglo people, or there's just this weird people have these gaping giant apartments and things like that, and I'm like, that's not.
Which New York?
Yeah, I want to live in that New York maybe. But no, for me it's whoever's right for the role. Like and I try to cast as locally as possible. One, because it's easier for them to station themselves, and two, there's a ton of talent here. And I feel like you have to give back a little. There's certain things I have to do in order to step it forward, but there's also like I can still give back and bring up. And no, I haven't got any family members that are asking for handouts, mostly because I make indie film because I'm not wealthy. But I do think that I would say there's two things that happen once you started doing stuff and your name is out there, or you do things like this. Is you have the people that immediately you can tell they want something from you, or it's very, very fake, or they're like, here I am, vampires. But then you also have people that are genuinely interested in what you're doing in a way that, if you haven't done anything before, or you're just talking about doing something, you have something behind you. They want your information. Like maybe people who came here, they want to know, they want your experiences, they want to know about what they're doing, and if you have any advice for them. So there's two kinds, there's good and bad.